come on in, come on in, Aries crew. Hope you're having a fabulous start to your weekend. We got to get into some things this morning. Welcome to Aries Rose TV. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and on this channel we talk about streaming movies, TV shows, local news, world news, celebrity news, politics, basically anything I find interesting, I come on and discuss with my Aries crew. We weren't able to go live last night, but this morning we're going to pick up with the topics that we have to get into. So we have another lawsuit that has been filed. It's raining lawsuits, and now we got one that's been filed on Fat Joe, so we got to get into that. Chris Brown has pled not guilty to, I want to say it was hitting somebody with a bottle or throwing a bottle at somebody in the UK, in the United Kingdom, England. So we're going to find out a little bit more related to that situation. The Diddy trial did resume on Friday, and his alleged rug mule was on the stand. So of course we got to find out what's going on with that, because we've been following the Diddy trial on this channel. And then there was a baseball player who was hit in the face by a 105-mile-per-hour foul ball. It's always been scary to me in baseball that the pitchers are not wearing helmets, because you could get hit with a ball being hit by a baseball player as well. And if you get hit in the right spot, that could completely end your life or do other damage if it does not end your life on there. And I don't know if this was somebody who was hitting the ball or if it's a pitcher that, whatever, is probably somebody who was hitting the ball, because it may be the pitcher who's throwing it 105 miles per hour, but very, very scary. So you have to look into that. To me, that just was like a Final Destination type of headline when I saw that. So I want to get some more info on it, and we're going to get into our first stories for the morning. But before we do that, you know the drill. If you've been on a live before, if you are a returning Aries crew member, leave hashtag Aries crew in the comments. If you're a first time watcher, leave first time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by and spending part of your day here. Let me know where you're from, what state, what city, or what country you're from. I want to see where the different Aries crew are located here. And then we're going to get into our first story here. We're going to get into this Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome, Carol. Thank you so much for stopping by. What's the weather like out there? Are the summers really hot? Are they cool? Is it humid? Let me know. I have never been there, but I've heard it is beautiful in Ohio. And moment here, I'm going to bring up the stories. But if you are on the live, let me know where you're from, what city, what state, what country. Want to see who we have on today, who's a part of the Aries crew. And I'm bringing up our first story to get into here. And all right, so it's the Tampa Bay Rays. Hunter Big, or Biggie, not sure how they pronounce it, was hit in the face by a 105-mile-per-hour foul ball stretchered off the field. So let's get into this. This reporting from TMZ. Scary scene at Thursday's Tampa Bay Rays game. One of their pitchers, Hunter Big, took a line dive foul ball to the face. So it was the pitcher who got hit. Took a line drive ball to the face while he was in the dugout, leading him to be carted off field. Oh, he wasn't even out on the field. It all went down during the top of the 7th inning. Oilers catcher Adley Rutschman turned on a 3-2 pitch. He was way ahead of it from Connor Siebold, sending the baseball directly at Biggie's face at 105 miles per hour, knocking him off his feet. Ooh. Rushman and Gunnar Henderson, who were on the deck circle, immediately reacted to the scary situation. The broadcast caught fans and players on both sides concerned for the Harvard graduate as medical professionals tended to him. Luckily, he was getting loaded onto the stretcher. Luckily, as he was getting loaded onto the stretcher, Biggie gave the crowd a thumbs up before being taken to a local hospital. During his post-game press conference, Ray's manager, Kevin Cash, said Biggie was coherent and talking to the physician and that he would be monitored as the night progressed. Quote, "You feel for Hunter and his wife," end quote. Cash said, quote, "I can't imagine what she and he were going through right there. It was scary for everybody, none more than them," end quote. As the saying goes, the game must go on, and that's exactly what happened, though everyone's thoughts were with Hunter Big or Hunter Biggie. The Oilers won the game 41. Hold on, this ad popped up here. Hunters won the game 4-1 against their AL East rivals. Hope you get well soon, Hunter. That to me is so scary. Baseball is a fun game to watch. I enjoy watching it. I don't like watching it on TV, but I like watching it live. But how fast those balls are thrown has always scared me for somebody getting seriously hurt or losing their life with that game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm glad that he survived that, and as updates are available, we'll come back on and report on him, but definitely sending him and his family well wishes for him to get better. And let's get into the Diddy trial. So the court did not happen on Wednesday because the juror had vertigo. So Judge Aron Subramanian went and ended the court early, and then Thursday there was no court because of Juneteenth, and so court resumed on Friday. But actually, I'm going to go to Chris Brown first. We're going to come back to Diddy. Sorry about that. That was out of order. I meant Chris Brown. We're going to go into Chris Brown here, who has pled not guilty to a bottle tossing attack at a London club. So let's get into that. This reporting from TMZ. Chris Brown was back in court Friday morning to answer a charge related to his alleged 2023 bottle throwing incident at a London club. The rapper showed up at a Southwark Crown Court in the British capital and was greeted by a sea of fans and photographers outside. Sporting a blue suit and black tie, Chris was all business as he stepped out of his SUV and walked inside the courthouse without uttering a word. During the hearing, Chris pled not guilty to attempting to cause grievous bodily harm for allegedly chucking a bottle at Abraham Daiwa inside London's Tape nightclub in February 2023. His alleged accomplice, Omalu Akinlolo, and I might be saying that wrong there, also pled not guilty to the same charge. Brown was not required to enter a plea to charges of assaulting Diawa to cause him bodily harm and possessing an offensive weapon, the bottle, in a public place. Last month, Chris was arrested and jailed in connection with the alleged assault after he flew into the United Kingdom for his Breezy Bowl XX tour. A judge later released Chris on conditional bail after he turned over his passport and paid 5 million in British pounds as a security fee, which translates to 6.7 million in American dollars. As part of his bail conditions, Chris must return to court for his hearings, and if he doesn't, then he could forfeit the security money. Meanwhile, Chris has continued his international tour, with the court giving him access to his passport while traveling to various shows throughout Europe to honor his commitments. Because if he doesn't, that's going to lead to another lawsuit for the people that he's doing the tour for them not being able to get their money and having to refund those tickets. So I'm glad the court's working with him on that. Let me know your thoughts in the situation here. Do you think that Chris Brown could be dealing with a potential court time or potential jail time in the United Kingdom over this, or do you think he will be found not guilty? Let's keep that conversation going in the comments here. And let's see, we'll get a little backstory on the whole situation to begin with here, because now we know that he's in court for it. We know what he has pled to it. Let's see if I can find. All right, here we go. So this is reporting from TMZ. Chris Brown can breathe a sigh of relief because he was just granted bail after his arrest for assault in the United Kingdom. TMZ has confirmed. So it looks like he was maybe arrested after the situation had happened. Maybe that was just this year. The R&B singer did not appear for a hearing in London's Southwark Crown Court Wednesday, but a judge signed off on releasing him from the jail, paving the way for him to begin his world tour in a few weeks. So this was before the tour that he's currently on right now. The judge ordered Chris, who has not yet entered a plea, to pay 5 million in British pounds as a security fee to the court, which translates to roughly 6.7 million in American dollars. We don't know the details of his bail conditions, but we'll update once you get the word. As you know, Chris was arrested last Wednesday or last Thursday. So at this time that this was written, that was May 21st. So just a couple weeks ago, that last Thursday from that day, and he was charged with grievous bodily harm over an alleged 2023 assault that took place in a London nightclub. Chris is accused of smashing music producer Abraham Diawa in the head with a tequila bottle. Diawa survived the attack. Meanwhile, Chris is expected to kick off his tour in Amsterdam on June 8th, followed by shows in Manchester and London, Cardiff, Birmingham, and Glasgow later in the month and in July. So that looks like he was, maybe he hadn't been back to the UK since that incident happened. I'm wondering why 2 years later he was arrested. That's the only thing I can think of. But looks like it was an incident that somebody was going to take him to court over. So we'll see what happens with this. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on with his particular trial once additional information is known, and to make sure that you stay up to date on this trial, what's going on with the Diddy trial, and the other lawsuits that are out there, like the one with Smokey Robinson and the one with Fat Joe that we're going to be reading about here pretty soon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. It's free to join, and that support goes a long, long, long way. All you got to do is hit that subscription button and then hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, go on the community tab. And we also are on Instagram. So if you have not already done so, you can follow me at Aries Rose TV on there. We post movie reviews, talk about different movies that we're going to go check out or want to see, as well as celebrity, pop culture, world, and politics news we post on there. So definitely reach out. Let me know you came from YouTube, and I will follow you back. And then we're going to get into our next story here. So we're going to get into this Fat Joe lawsuit here so we can get some more info. He's being sued for 20 million. And he just recently lost his mom. I want to say last month in May, he lost his mom at age 77, and I believe he was very close with his mom. So definitely my condolences go out to him on that. I understand loss, as we lost the father of my youngest two children this year. Found out a couple weeks ago. Devastating news, completely changed our lives. Just never thought that was going to ever be something that I was going to experience, and it's quite an experience, let me tell you. So I definitely understand loss, especially loss for somebody close to you. But this particular lawsuit is concerning if there is any truth to it. So we're going to get into it. This reporting from TMZ. Fat Joe's former hype man says he's in a new lawsuit. He saw the rapper have sex with underage girls who were 15 and 16 years old, but Joe says the allegations are BS. Terrence T.A. Dixon filed a lawsuit Thursday claiming there were at least two minor females Fat Joe had sexual relations with and another he allegedly fell in love with. In the docs obtained by TMZ, Dixon's attorney, Tyrone A. Blackburn, claims a 16-year-old Dominican girl would perform X and other actual acts on Joe in exchange for cash and clothing and cell phone bill payments. Dixon claims Joe started an actual relationship with a 15-year-old Caucasian girl after meeting at an overseas concert. Says Joe flew her to New York and Miami multiple times and paid for her to get a BBL because her body was, quote, adolescent and not fully formed, end quote. Dixon claims the girl is now married to a pro athlete. In the suit, Dixon claims Fat Joe was in love with the Latina he met when she was 15 years old. He says Joe paid all the girls' bills, took her overseas for tours, put her up in a condo near where he lived with his wife in Florida, and contemplated leaving his wife for her. Dixon says Joe has an unhealthy and troubling fixation on underage individuals and raps about it in She's My Mama. Joe's ex-hype man also says Fat Joe coerced him into having sex with women after concerts, sometimes in full view of other people. That is crazy. And says Joe underpaid him, denied him songwriting credits, and concealed royalties and back-end payments. Wow, that was a lot. Never heard of anything like that associated to Fat Joe prior to this, so I don't know if this was a friendship that just went bad or if there is any truth to this. I'm really shocked. Shocked. Especially this, or at least as of right now, it hasn't said how long ago this was. So this wasn't like maybe 20 years ago, like some old stuff. It sounds like it's fairly recent in just the tone of it. And that's concerning because Fat Joe is well into being a grown man. And if there is any truth to this, should definitely know better than to go in that direction. There's nothing good that comes from that. So that's pretty it's pretty concerning how many of these celebrities or, music artists, whatever, that have just reached that level where you've kind of crossed over into pop culture that are getting into trouble behind these types of activities, rather they be with somebody who's underage or somebody who's saying that you were doing stuff that they did not want you to do and you continue to do it anyway. I'm just really shocked at this point in the world in 2025 that we're like still going through this, that you don't know better. These are people that have money. You have access to like really good lawyers, legal advice, consultation, not to mention you can just go online or YouTube and see all the other times people have gotten caught up in these incidents to avoid these pitfalls. So I don't understand how these things continue to happen, especially to people who are very, very grown. Like we're not talking about somebody who just became an adult who doesn't fully understand everything yet. Like you're very, very much an adult. So I don't know, but we'll get back into this lawsuit here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you noticing a trend that people are getting caught up behind this? Shannon Sharpe, not at ESPN. He says it's temporarily. I believe that he's not coming back to ESPN. That's just my thoughts on it. You don't have those types of allegations and those voice messages and text messages that came out and think you're going to be on ESPN that's owned by Disney. It just doesn't fit the image. That they don't want that. They don't want that look, even if Shannon Sharpe is great at commentary and great at what he does. It's unfortunate, but it was a situation that could have been avoided by making some different decisions. Dealing with somebody older, 100% should have been what happened in that case. And then you have obviously what's going on with the Diddy trial, although there's no underage allegations that I'm aware of. It's still not a good look, not a good look at all. This one, the potential situation with Smokey Robinson, who's being investigated for SA, all of this stuff, very, very concerning that we're still seeing these types of issues pop up here. And then let's get back into this reporting on the situation with Fat Joe. So Fat Joe's attorney, Joe Tacopina, so he is very popular because he was the attorney for ASAP Rocky, and he was able to get him found not guilty. He has taken on Wendy Williams as a personal client, so he's not currently her attorney representing her with the guardianship that I'm aware of. That was the last thing I understood. He was just representing her in a personal capacity, but he's working with her, and now it looks like he's working with Fat Joe. So thanks to ASAP Rocky, his profile is definitely raised as being a solid attorney. And Fat Joe's attorney, Joe Tacopina, tells TMZ the lawsuit is a blatant act of retaliation for a civil suit Joe filed against Dixon. Tacopina says the allegations are, quote, lies intended to damage his reputation and force a settlement through public pressure, end quote. And he claims law enforcement is aware of what he says are extortionate demands from Dixon. As we first reported, Joe sued Dixon back in April for defamation after Dixon allegedly made similar PDF file allegations against Joe on social media. Dixon is going after Fat Joe for damages. So now I'm going to get into this situation here about when Fat Joe had filed a lawsuit against the person who's now suing him. So let's get a little backstory on that, which kind of makes sense now because I was thinking the way this sounds is like because somebody was mad or something was done that's making them try to respond. So that's now this is making a little bit more sense. This reporting from TMZ. Fat Joe has filed a hefty lawsuit against his former hype man for slandering him on social media, claiming the guy and his lawyer are trying to shake him down for a payday. Shakedown is the new term for anytime a lawsuit is filed. That's what they all say. Shannon Sharpe says it's a shakedown. Smokey Robinson said it's a shakedown. Fat Joe's saying it's a shakedown. Diddy said it was a shakedown. And we're getting back into the reporting. TMZ Hip Hop obtained court docs filed by Fat Joe on Tuesday. Oh, and also Tyler Perry, who's got that lawsuit, says it's a shakedown. In which, or let me start this one over. TMZ Hip Hop obtained court docs filed by Fat Joe on Tuesday, in which he claims his former hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, is trying to collect money he didn't earn and resorted to publicly calling the rapper a PDF file on social media when he didn't get his way. Work with me, we're on YouTube, so there's some terms we can't use here. According to the lawsuit, Dixon claimed on social media Joe flew a 16-year-old girl across state lines for X and posted the allegation along with a picture of Joe, Diddy, and DJ Khaled. And I've heard DJ Khaled's name come up more than once related to these situations. So I wonder if something's going to come out about him next. Joe's legal counsel claims the allegations were made as part of a money grab generated by Dixon's attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, who's also representing Diddy accuser Little Rodney, in a separate case. The lawsuit details how Joe and Dixon began working together in 2006 when Joe offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be part of his team, complete with compensation, luxurious travel, touring, and other fringe benefits that accompany being in a superstar's rapper inner circle. Joe says the partnership ended amicably in 2019, and he never heard any money complaints for 6 years until Dixon began posting on social media with complaints he should have been paid more for his past work. He says Dixon lawyered up with Blackburn in March and fired off a legal demand letter asking for compensation as a ghostwriter on several of Joe's tracks. When those demands weren't met, Fat Joe says Dixon upped the ante by spreading salacious lies about Joe and falsely claiming Joe blocked him from obtaining outside funding for his record label startup. Okay, so it sounds like there's some bitter feelings here, at least on one side. Blackburn tells TMZ Hip Hop the new lawsuit is just a cover up attempt and isn't backing down, saying Joe filed, quote, a baseless lawsuit in an effort to soften the blow of what's to come. It won't work. Fat Joe has a lot of explaining to do, end quote. Fat Joe fiercely defends his name, telling us, quote, these allegations are completely false and part of a criminal conspiracy orchestrated between a disgruntled former hype man and his attorney. These two individuals have been scheming together to extort me with their elaborate and ludicrous demands, changing by the day, end quote. The quote, relentless threats, harassment, and defamation I've endured as they peddle salacious lies are utterly deplorable. I'm taking legal action to expose their misconduct, and I'm fully confident that the facts will reveal this is nothing more than a deceptive and desperate scam, end quote. Bacho's celebrity attorney, Joe Takapina, is slamming the lawsuit altogether and tells TMZ Hip Hop, quote, the allegations against Mr. Cartagena, which must be Fat Joe's real name, real legal last name, are completely false and part of a criminal extortion scheme orchestrated by an attorney who a federal judge recently condemned for abusing the court system to harass and pressure defendants. Mr. Cartagena will not be intimidated by fabricated claims, lies about witnesses, or shameless threats. We are taking immediate legal action to expose this fraudulent scheme, and we will hold all parties responsible fully accountable. Takapina also sent Blackburn a cease and desist, reminding him of his recent misconduct a judge warned him over in the Diddy lawsuit. So let me know your thoughts in the comments here. We're definitely going to be following this Fat Joe lawsuit, both sides. So as additional information is available, we will definitely bring it to you here. It's pretty sad. When that Me Too movement was happening, I noticed that the music industry was largely not included in that. And I'm just wondering if this is the Me Too moment for the music industry. Let me know if you think so with the celebrities that are experiencing these issues right now. There's a theme. A good chunk of them are in the music industry. So I'm wondering if this is kind of that time for that one. And let's get into the Diddy testimony that took place on Friday. So Wednesday, court was stopped early because one of the jurors had vertigo, and then Thursday was Juneteenth, so court was closed, and then court resumed on Friday with Brendan Paul, the alleged rug mule. So I've been looking forward to this testimony. He was arrested earlier this year. Um, or was it last year when Diddy's homes were raided? So, I know it had to have been last year because that was before he was arrested. So, before Diddy was arrested in MDC. So, Brendan Paul was found when they were doing the situation with Diddy's homes. He was found that he had substances on him. So, he was arrested, and then he just became known as the alleged rug mule for Diddy. And then when he was released, I was thinking, ooh, I wonder if he's cooperating with them to get out. And we're going to see what this testimony is because I'm definitely curious from his perspective of what was going on with Diddy or what his role was with Diddy. So we're going to get into that. And this is reporting from TMZ. Brendan Paul, Diddy's alleged rug mule, who's been given immunity by Judge Arun Subramanian to testify in the music mogul's federal trial after confirming to the judge he's received a subpoena and intends to invoke the Fifth Amendment, took the stand in the federal trial Friday, and the testimony is expected to revolve around rugs, TMZ has learned. Remember, Diddy's former assistant was arrested in March 2024, so last year, at the Miami Opelika Executive Airport when authorities allegedly found substances in his bag. The arrest occurred at the same time federal law enforcement raided Diddy's properties in Los Angeles and Florida. The charges against Paul were dropped after he completed a pretrial diversion program. Oh, that's how he got him dropped. And now he's testifying at his former boss's trial. Sources with direct knowledge tell us all about Paul, who served as Diddy's personal assistant for 18 months. He's a former Syracuse University basketball player who wanted to break into the music business. And when he met music executive Eli Moran, once Diddy's manager, he was linked up with Puffy. Diddy interviewed Paul and hired him. Our sources say Brendan's testimony will mirror testimony we've already heard from other assistants because Paul did similar jobs, allegedly obtaining some rugs for the music mogul. However, whether he was a rug mule will be a contested topic, and we'll have to wait and see what the prosecution and defense say. And then we got more here. All right. This reporting from TMZ, Sean Diddy Combs' ex-assistant Brendan Paul says he didn't see any force or coercion from his former boss when it came to freak-offs with Jane. And he says he was absolutely not a rug mule. And Jane is a pseudonym that's being used because this person's identity has not been revealed on there. And if you are on the live, we'll take a quick pause here. Let me know if you are a returning Aries crew member by saying hashtag Aries crew, or if you're a first time watcher, leave first time watcher. And let me know what city, state, or country you are from. I want to see where everybody's from that's a part of the Aries crew. And if you can like the video on your way in, it's greatly appreciated. It goes a long way, and it's a free way to support the channel. And we'll get back into the story here. Brendan, a former Syracuse University basketball player and aspiring music producer, took the stand Friday in Diddy's criminal trial in New York and told jurors about his 18 months working as an assistant to the music mogul. During the cross-examination from Diddy's defense attorney, Brian Steele, Brendan testified he would often talk to Diddy's former girlfriend, Jane, before and after freak-offs, and he said she did not come across as hesitant or apprehensive, and says there was nothing from her indicating she was not a willing participant. The feds say Diddy was forcing and coercing Jane, who testified under a pseudonym, to protect her identity, and Cassie into participating in freak-offs, drug and alcohol-fueled marathons with male ex-workers. But Diddy's defense says the encounters were consensual, and Paul, who was called up as a witness by prosecutors, appeared to be backing that up. He said he wouldn't work for someone he thought was a criminal. It's worth noting, on redirect, prosecutors asked Paul if he was in the room for freak-offs, and he said no. Brendan also testified about being arrested with a substance in his bag in March 2024 at the Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport when he was trying to board a plane with Diddy in wake of the federal raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Star Island, Miami. Paul told jurors the substance was Diddy's, but he forgot it was in his bag, and he said he didn't tell the police the rugs were Diddy's because he wanted to be loyal to his boss. He says he came across the substance while sweeping Diddy's room and stuffed it in his bag. While Paul also testified about buying all kinds of rugs for Diddy's personal use and rolling up substances in Diddy's garage, he says he was not a rug mule, as he had been alleged in lawsuits against Diddy, and getting rugs for Diddy was only a minor part of his job duties. Diddy wore a gray sweater and black pants as he watched and listened to Paul's testimony, and Paul told the juror he hadn't seen or spoken to Diddy since the rug bust and characterized their relationship as complicated. Brendan's attorney, Brian Bieber, told TMZ after his client got off the stand, quote, Brendan's testimony was crystal clear and he was never a rug mule or for Diddy or anyone else. He was subpoenaed to come to court and tell the truth, which he did word for word. So that is so far the latest testimony that we got here. Let's see if we have anything else related to that testimony here for Brendan Paul. And okay, we got one last thing here. And this reporting from TMZ, Diddy trial defense could rest next week. That's fast. They were talking like the first week of July. Now it looks like it's going to go out a little bit further. So as we have a jury verdict in the Diddy federal criminal trial in New York City as soon as next week, depending on how long jurors deliberate after the defense rests its case and closing arguments are made. After the jurors were sent home Friday, prosecutor Maureen Comey told Judge Arun Subramanian the feds could rest their case on Monday, and then then Diddy defense attorney Mark Agnifilio told the judge if that happens, they think they could rest their case Tuesday or Wednesday. The judge said closing arguments could happen Thursday, and then the jury would start deliberations, leaving open the possibility for a verdict by the end of next week, and that's on the early side. There's also a good chance the jury verdict comes in the following week at some point before the July 4th holiday. There's been over 3 weeks of testimony, and we're getting to the home stretch, folks. So let me know if you think we're getting close to a verdict. Sounds like the defense doesn't think they're going to need that long, which is amazing to me because somebody's freedom, their life pretty much hangs in the balance. So you just need a couple days. I don't know. It's either they're feeling super confident or they just don't really have a strong enough people that are willing to testify on Diddy's behalf here to fill the time for any more than what they're looking for, but we'll definitely be monitoring this and keeping an eye out. As far as I know, it should pick back up on Monday, so we'll have more to discuss. Let me know your thoughts on this Diddy trial, if you think he's going to be found guilty or not guilty. I think even if he is found not guilty, which could be a long shot, but we'll see. I just think in the court of public opinion, he'll have a really hard time coming back from this, and people are not going to be able to unhear or unsee what's been put out there. So his image has definitely been changed in a lot of people's minds. So I don't know if he'll still have access to the same circles or same opportunities that he had before the Cassie lawsuit dropped in November of 2023. So I think he will still be in some type of form of jail, even if you're not physically in there, because a lot of people are not going to want to be associated. It's just not going to be a good look for their brand and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. That's just my thought on it. Thank you so much for watching. If you've been on this long, go ahead and join the Aries crew. We'd love to have you a part of the family. All you got to do is hit that subscription button and then hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post on the community page, and all that good stuff. If you haven't already done so, follow us on Instagram at Aries Rose TV. We'll follow you back. Just let me know you came from YouTube on there. In the description box here, I'll post the Diddy playlist. So if you have not gotten caught up on the other testimony that's been going on here, you can watch the Diddy playlist to get your info. We are going to do a live just dedicated to the Diddy trial testimony for the week that I missed. So we want to get caught up on what was discussed on there, but we just picked up for where we are right now, and then I'll have another live dedicated to those days, so keep an eye out for that. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. We will see you later on. Keep an eye out on the page because we're going to go live again later on today. Thanks for watching and take care.